Hello guys, today we are going to talk about BRICS, an, uh, an intergovernmental organization of emerging economies like uh, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. It is headquartered in Shanghai, China. It is not headquartered in China because it's an intergovernmental grouping. So there is no fixed headquarter of it is, but the New Development Bank of the BRICS is situated in Shanghai, so we can assume that it primarily serves as the headquarter, but it is not the headquarter of the BRICS. So, if we talk about BRICS, so it is one of the largest economic blocs of the world, where it controls nearly 28% of the world GDP, and it raises the voices of the global South in front of the Western Bloc, which has been historically dominated the global world globe. So here we will talk about what is BRICS. So it is an intergovernmental grouping. We should understand this is not an intergovernmental organization. It is a grouping, which means some countries came together and formed a group which are of major economies to promote cooperation, political dialogue, and more balanced global economic order. So please be understand that it is not an intergovernmental organization, but it is a grouping. Now we'll talk about brief history of the BRICS. So the first time the term was coined by economist Jim O'Neill in 2001. Then its next meeting was held in 2006. Then in 2009, the first official BRICS summit held in Russia, where the foreign minister of those countries joined. But and in but till 2009, it was BRIC, not BRICS. But when in 2010 South Africa joined the group, it became BRICS. S was added because of South Africa. So if you talk about some detail about these major five countries, so if you talk about Brazil, so it is the largest economy in Latin America, or we can say the largest economy of whole South American continent. Russia, it is the military and resource powerhouse of the Eurasia, and it is also the second most powerful country in the world in defense. And if we talk about India, so India is the fastest growing major economy and the largest economy of South Asia. If we talk about China, so it is well known that it is the behind the US in nominal GDP, and it has already surpassed the US in GDP in purchasing power parity. Now, if we talk about South Africa, so it is one of the developed nation of the South Africa, situated in the southern part of the African continent. Now we'll talk why was BRIC formed? What was the requirement that BRIC was formed? So the core objective was deriving the group cooperation were reform global institutions. As we talked earlier, that it was formed to uh, reform those global organizations which were historically dominated by the US and its Western allies in Europe and Australia, etc. So it focuses on reforming those organizations since they were favoring the Western world. Now, the second point is deepen economic cooperation. It focuses on expanding trade across the countries, investment, and infrastructure link between member nations. For this, they have also formed Asian Development Bank. Asian Development Bank was formed to fund those projects and provide credits at very lower interest rate. And the third point was build a multipolar world. As we talked earlier, it was built to counter the Western world bloc, which dominated the world. Reduce dependence. Uh, it focused on making the world free from dollar dominance. As we know that because of dollar dominance, US put sanctions on different countries without any problem. So to counter this, they formed this organization. represents the global south, as we talked earlier, that it is voice raises the voice of the global south at world stage. Since most of those countries of BRICS are situated in the southern hemisphere, they give the voice of the global south, like India, Brazil, etc., are on the southern hemisphere, and South Africa is also on the southern hemisphere. Now, if we talk about the major demographics or major facts about the BRICS on the world stage, so it controls nearly 45% of the population, as we talked earlier, and 28% of GDP, 30% of world land area spans the BRICS countries. Some of the world largest countries by area are part of the BRICS, like Russia, China, Brazil, India, and also South Africa. In 2014, the new development bank was formed. It is the primary source of funding and developing the infrastructure, etc., across those countries. Now we'll talk briefly about New Development Bank. So it is headquartered in Shanghai. It finances infrastructure and sustainable development projects across BRICS and other emerging economies, an alternative funding source to the World Bank. So as we talked earlier, it was formed to counter the Western led banks like World Banks, which dominated the which was working on the terms of the Western nation. So now we understand why it matters, why the BRIC matters. Together, BRICS economies now rival the G7 in share of global GDP. A shift reshaping trade routes, currency use, and global governance. Although in terms of real GDP, or we can the G7 countries have higher GDP, but in terms of PPT terms, BRICS nations are in comparison with them. Uh, uh, Currently, some new members have joined the BRICS, like Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has not joined, but it has been invited to join. Egypt, if we talk about Egypt, it is the economic powerhouse of the Africa. If we talk about Ethiopia, one of the largest country in the Africa, situated just behind Egypt, from where the Nile actually started. So Ethiopia, from Ethiopia, the Nile River actually starts. And if we talk about Iran, so it is one of the declining nations. So it is not that much important, but it has capacity. And in some year, it may be possible that Iran will become one of the strongest nations of the BRICS. Now we talk about UAE. We all know that one of the richest nation of the world, global trade center in UAE. And if we talk about key challenges, member hold very different political system and economic priorities. Like India have democratic system, Brazil have democratic system, but neither China nor Russia have democratic system. So they follows different economic system. Like China controls heavily its economic activities, where state sponsored firms dominate. India-China border tensions also complicate unified decision making, since India and China are not that much aligned, so this makes it not that much not effective. No shared currency yet. Although they focused on de-dollarization, they were never came to conclusion on it. Wide gap in economic size. So out of all the BRICS nations, China's economy is alone bigger than all of them combined. And if we talk about expansion dilutes consensus, more voices, slower agreements. Since there are more countries, there is more chances that some of them may not agree with others. Because if we talk about like Egypt, Ethiopia, or UAE, they have very strong relation with United States. So how can they BRICS focus on de-dollarization if these countries are aligned with US, which is a leader of the world, Western world? Now we'll talk about the future or the road ahead of the BRICS. So first one is rising economic share. Combined GDP is projected to keep outpacing the G7 over the coming decade. So in the next 10 years, it is expected that combined GDP in per purchasing power parity of the BRICS will be higher than the G7 countries. De-dollarization so it is focusing on de-dollarization and trading in local currencies so that US dominance could be reduced. Continued expansion, more nations from Asia, Africa, and Latin America are expected to seek membership. This will uh, give them more power to the world stage. So BRICS represents a growing bid by emerging economies for a bigger seat at the global table. Want to keep watching closely. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please like, subscribe, and drop your questions below. If you don't like, please comment and dislike if you want. Thank you.